gefällt dir denn?
Das ist schön. Hast du es gehört?
Was denn?
Das hat so schön knackst.
Well, I wanted to start. I think this is a film that touches on subjects such as mental health and guilt, but at the same time, it touches also on expectations and pressures put on women, because they have to fulfill gender roles.
Yes.
And I want to know, how do you create a period piece that touches on so many modern subjects that are still present in this day and age?
Yeah, first of all, I think that's the main reason for us being courageous enough to even tackle a period piece was to tell a story that's still relevant today. Because if it's just about some past time that's not connected to our days, I think we wouldn't have been very interested. But like it's all grounded, I think, in the story that we found by accident. We were listening to a podcast. It was an episode of This American Life. And a historian talked briefly about, it was about loopholes, and she talked about the loophole in history, which was to kill yourself by killing someone else, which is called suicide by proxy. And we had never heard about that, although many cases happened in Germany and Austria, where we are based in. So we contacted this historian, and she sent us like a lot of cases that she had unearthed in prisons and in wherever she found them. But there were interrogation protocols of mainly women, 2/3 women, who had killed mainly children in order to be executed. And we read those transcripts where those women had been asked why they committed those crimes. And that actually moved us to tears, because they felt like, not like the cliche of somebody you have, maybe some peasants like in ancient times, you would think like you have strong cliches like how those people might behave or have behaved, but she felt very, very modern, and that really moved us. She was a perfectionist who never thought she could be good enough, who always blamed herself, nobody else except of herself, and she thought she was a failure. And I think this threw her into depression, and that felt very connected to modern times. So I think we live in a different society, but it's a society that maybe puts even more pressure on people to always function, to always be perfect, to always be the best version of themselves. And that is like, that's horrifying, because like if you fail at being the best version of yourself, you're the one to blame. And I think that's so unfair, because actually it's society who forces you to comply and to be this person that you then later on think you yourself want to be. So that's a very difficult situation, and actually very much connected like to the story of Agnes that we read in the protocol. That was when we felt we want to make this film, because it really also talks about our days.
Yeah, and she also felt like she was also an immigrant. She moved from one village to the other, only 15 kilometers, but she never kind of found her place there. She didn't fit in. She was different from the other people, and she really kind of suffered from that.
Yeah, I think that's also a thing that we found very modern, because like people just could see her as a foreigner or an immigrant that's different. And nobody of them was able to see like her many talents. She was very sensitive. She could have been an artist like in our times, maybe. She could hear music where other people just heard noise. So she was a very talented person, but nobody around her could see that they just saw that she was different. And I think that also didn't change much. First, we see somebody is different, somebody is not like we are, and we have a hard time looking beneath that surface. And actually, I think that's like we don't, like, I don't think we make films to give messages, but if there is one message, I think that's that people should look beneath the surface and try to see beauty and talent where they wouldn't expect it, maybe.
Ja, Gott wird Freude haben mit dir, wenn du den Magen essen riechst.
Wegen deiner Mutter.
Was ist mit dir?
Magst mich nicht. Ich fürchte mich tut's.
Jetzt geht es, wird schon.
Siehst du nicht, dass das aber blöder wird?
Die wird sich schon erfinden. Gibst du dir ein wenig Zeit?
There's no denying that the film is pretty shocking, but the shock it is not there just to shock the audience, you know, and just do that. But it also serves the story. So why was it important for you both as directors to include those shocking scenes to tell the story?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the very easy answer is that when we read historical research, we were actually very shocked by the description, the very accurate description that those women give about them murdering children. It was really shocking, and it haunted us even in our nightmares. So it gave us nightmares, and that was the first time like we researched something and we really had nightmares, and we felt that it's just necessary for the film to be also shocking to an audience to really be able to take the same journey that we took when reading those research materials. Because I think first you basically fall in love with this woman, you think you're very sad for her, but then she commits like an atrocious crime, and then I think she's executed. So I think that's a journey, but like I think for the journey to fully function, the violence needs to be shocking, and you need to be repelled by what you see, because you don't want to idealize like a child being murdered. I think this should always feel painful, because it is one of the most horrific things you can show on screen. So it not being horrifying would have also felt wrong. Plus, it was interesting to us because it's so inherent with this whole phenomenon. It's like those women are not only victims, they are victims of society, but they're also murderers. And I think this makes the whole thing complicated and interesting to us, because you, like as an audience, or we as directors even, we don't know how we're supposed to feel about that. So that's something that stays with you like after the film is done. You need to position yourself towards that question. And that is, I think, when cinema becomes interesting, or is interesting to us, because it's not done when the credits are over, but you still have to figure out,
What do I think about that,
Yeah.
or how do I feel about that?
yeah.
One other thing that I liked about the film is that it is very much in line with your previous work, in that it is an ensemble piece. You know, every character, well, it's Agnes' journey, but every character has its time to come through on the screen. So how do you balance each character to accentuate on the journey of Agnes?
Yeah, it was very important. Thank you for seeing that. I mean, it was very important to us that if we tell the story of Agnes, that there is not one person who is responsible for that, but the society. So it was important for us that the husband, for example, is not the cliche of a husband who hits his wife and he's mean to her. Besides, I have to say that in the interrogation protocols, when Agnes talks about her husband, she described him as a very nice guy. She liked him actually. But in the movie, of course, we could have changed that, but we didn't want that there's one bad guy or one bad woman, such as the mother-in-law, for example, because everyone has his own issues too. So the husband, for example, he also has a secret. We gave him the secret. He has to kind of protect, or society cannot talk about that. So we have like a world of the shades of gray, and not like this black and white world where it is one thing which is responsible for, the unhappiness for this woman.
But I think there is different types of horror filmmakers, and there is the one kind who really likes to invent monsters and supernatural beings in order to escape this world and tell something about like a different place. And I think we are on the other end of the spectrum and basically come very much from reality. So our films, and we love horror films, but our films may superficially look like horror films, but I think they're very much about society, like Goodnight Mommy being about society, the smallest cell of society, about family, and The Lodge also being a film where we think nobody is to blame. It's just like people creating an environment that's toxic and horrible for everybody involved, and they cannot escape, but it's not the fault of one person. And with Agnes and the Devil's Bath, it's the same, that it's society which is to blame for the situation, and society is all of us. And I think that's what we want to, that's what's important to us with our films, that it's not like if they would get rid of the evil stepmother or mother-in-law, then everything would have turned out fine. I mean, because that's just too easy an answer to be true. I think it's you could get rid of every single person in the film and still it would be like a horrible society. And I think you can always, of course, like in our days, say, oh, you should, I don't know, shoot this dictator or that dictator, and then everything will be fine. Actually, it won't, because it's like a much huger structural issue of a society that all of us created. And if we don't change that, I think there won't be any change.
Jetzt stehst auf und ziehst dich an.
Im Mord ist ein Teufelsboot.
So you have a great leading actress in Anya. She's great. She communicates a lot of stuff with her eyes, and she's very intense, but at the same time contained. So I wanted to ask you, how was the process of working with her?
I mean, we asked her, Anya is a musician, her stage name is Soap and Skin, and we asked her for the music because like we know her music and we felt she might be able to connect to the material, and we wanted the music to maybe start with historical instruments in the time the film is set in, and to evolve like to more modern music to connect it to our days. So that was the idea, and that was why we asked Anya. And she read the script and then wrote us an email about it, and we were kind of really impressed how much she seemed to know this world and this character. And that's when we got the idea to audition her. And yeah, it became, of course, it's a risk to take a non-professional actress, which she is. We tried to make the whole film as easy for her as possible, like to shoot it chronologically, to have her improvise, so not learn any lines. I think the truth is none of this would have been necessary, because Anya is like one of the most gifted and talented actresses imaginable. She can repeat every take 10 times totally the same because she's a disciplined musician. On the other hand, she is like a stage performer and really wants to experience something. She wants to
Live.
yeah, she wants to live in this world and in this part, and she wants to feel it. And that's actually like the perfect combination that we would have never dared to wish for. And we postponed the film. We could have shot 1 year earlier even, but we were not sure if we needed more time with Anya, and we really wanted to get to know her because we think filmmaking is all about trust. And she was willing to give everything and sacrifice everything for this part and for becoming this woman because she felt it was an important story to be told. But we also wanted her to be sure about us being the right people going on this journey with her. So we postponed the film for a year. We spent a lot of time. And I think most of the work that we did with her was before the actual shooting started. And it was not rehearsing in a classical sense, so that we just rehearse scenes, but it was trying to give her an opportunity to enter this world. So she moved in the film location, for example, which was an actual house with no electricity in the middle of nowhere. And she was actually cooking there. And the thing where she puts like this burning wooden stick into her mouth, we found that in research. But if you tell an actress usually, okay, you say this line and then you put the stick in your mouth, it will always feel fake. But as Anya did a lot of cooking there, she understood she needed like, if it's dark outside and the only light source is underneath the pot, she needs this burning stick in order to be able to see inside the pot if the food is burning or not. So I think she knew all of those things, and that was to us more important than precisely rehearsing actual scenes of the script. But we wanted her to understand this world and how the practical things in this world would function.
Well, thank you very much, guys, for the time. It was great talking to you, and congratulations on this amazing film.
Thank you very
for
much.
the questions.
Yeah, thank you
you
for the great questions.
Oczywiście.
Den Verstoß mit den Tieren.